Grand Rising family, check in. How are you? This is Dr. Kia Pruitt. It is Friday. Happy Friday. Yay! I hope y'all in a good mood. I am in a fabulous mood. Check in family. We're going to answer some questions today. It is Friday, November the 15th, 2024, and the time is 1:13 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I am parked right outside of the gym. I'm at LA Fitness. I got to get my body tight, keep it together, because I'm ascending into the new era looking cute. You know what I'm saying? So check in family. I'm going to answer your questions. I was pulling up at the gym and my phone just started going off of people asking me questions like, how do you know NESARA is really going to happen? How do we know that the Galactic Federation is here to help us? You keep putting out all these positive messages. I believe it when I see it. Where's the proof? So y'all just gonna make me work. Y'all just determined to make a sister work, okay? So keep coming in, family. Check in and listen to this groove while y'all check in, family. Come on through. Hey, hey. Check in. Hey. Hey. Woo. Yay. It's a party over here. It's a party over here. Yay. Raise no vibrations, family. Hey. Can you hear that? Check in, family. We're celebrating. Wait a minute, I gotta get out the car. Hey, hey, I feel like dancing. Hey, 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 hey. Get it, get it, get it, get it, get it. Keep checking in, family. We're just waiting on everybody to get in. It's Friday. Happy Friday! Trump 2024. Our peace and prosperity and abundance is in the house. Come on through with it. Keep the vibrations high. Happy Friday! Whoa! music is from my friend Murray Walker from Murray in Nashville. He gave me permission to play that. It is copywritten and it will be out soon. So he said I could play it. And it's called Bad A Song, Bad ASS Song. And so he was like, you can use it. So I hope you guys are doing well. I wanted to keep the vibrations high. I want everybody to stay encouraged. So many people are asking me questions like, how do you know NESARA is real? When is our prosperity and peace coming? Hey, family, we are here living in that timeline right now. Jump on the timeline with me. Let's come on. We're going to do a quantum leap into our prosperity and our joy because we have power to speak it. Your word has powers, right? They call words, when you use them, spelling, because words cast spells. You have the power to usher in your own peace, prosperity, joy, and abundance. And I'm going to show you how these things are actually happening right now. But keep checking in. I want a few more people to check in, family. Hit the like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and let's get it, because I'm not going to be on YouTube much longer. Okay, listen, I got some humanitarian projects to do, so give me about 1 more minute. Let's keep jamming, family. Hey. Remember this? Send me your music again, Ty. Ty, send me your music again. I have it, but send it. I'll play it at the outro. Hey. right, family, let's get into it. This is Dr. Kia Pruitt. I hope you enjoyed that. I am coming from my car. Y'all, I'm sitting up at the gym at LA Fitness. I was about to go in and my phone started buzzing. People just checking in, calling you, or sending me messages like, how you know this is real? You put out a video yesterday about NESARA. Come on, Kia. I'm trying to get with you, or I'll believe it when I see it. So I am here just to bring a joyful message to let you all know that we are so close to our liberty, prosperity, and peace. And just as I was about to go live, I got a call confirming the things that I said yesterday on my video. So check in, family. This is Dr. Kia Pruitt checking in from Jacksonville, Florida, my hometown, where I've been for 3 years because it is a freedom state. Listen, I'm going to go in the gym, but I did want to pop in just to raise your vibrations and inspire you to keep going, family. We are so close. So let me slow down. I hope you enjoyed that song. That song is by Murray Walker. He is a very good friend of mine. He wrote that song. It's copywritten, so he gave me permission to play the song with you guys. And somebody said this should be my theme music. Thank you, Dennis. I love you. Mwah. Yes, it's so high vibrational, just like we are here in our group with our tribe. We keep our positive mentality and our vibrations raised because we know that the Creator is here, that the Galactic Federation is here, and that the military they are all working together to usher in our freedom, prosperity, peace, love, and joy. You're welcome. Oh, I love you guys so much. Hi, Sister Arlene. Hi, Chief Mac's in the house. You guys see Judah Allen. That's Chief Mac tuning in from his Facebook page. He's in the house. So let's get it. Let's get it, family. Okay. Yesterday, I talked about the National Economic Security and Reformation Act, and that is just a set of laws that were put in place by the military and some people that are working at high levels to usher in our peace and prosperity and abundance because of all the banking fraud that has occurred and the enslavement, financial enslavement, psychological, mental, and emotional enslavement of all humans on the planet. So this isn't just about Black or white or Americans versus people in the UK. This is for the entire family, the entire human family, where we will have prosperity, global prosperity, peace, love, and joy ushered into this new reality. Now, it's up to you to ascend with the rest of the planet because the entire planet is actually ascending into 5D. That means the fifth dimension, because we've been stuck in a third dimensional reality where it's dualistic. It's a whole bunch of anger and fighting and confusion and hatred. And by duality, I mean, but on the other side of that, you have love, prosperity, joy, and peace. But it was out of balance. So they called it a time of duality, but we kind of favored, we leaned over into that era of darkness. And this was able to be done because a lot of draconians or reptilians and other beings that were on the planet were doing rituals. They were doing rituals on our children. They were doing rituals in Hollywood with the music. They were doing rituals like causing bombings and certain things and all across the globe. They were doing rituals with war. They were killing out certain bloodlines. And the reason why they were doing this is because in another dimension, you actually have bloodline families that are part of extraterrestrial beings and bloodlines that have been fighting each other in different galaxies. And it's being also played out here on the earth. However, the good news is the cries of the people have ascended up to the heavens, to the Creator or to Source, and to the galactic beings, some of whom had seeded humanity on the planet. So they decided to come back and to help us usher in this era of prosperity, love, joy, and peace. Now, I've been talking about NESARA for many years, since about 2017, when I became awakened to this, because that led me down to different so-called rabbit holes of different areas and avenues to discover what's been going on behind the scenes. So I'm not here to keep you long. Somebody says, I feel your energy. But let's go over a couple of tenets of NESARA, because people want to ask me, how do I know it's real? First of all, during the 2020 shutdown, while we were all locked in and the bad beings were ushering in the COVID. Remember, they first called it CORONA, and that is a banking term, and it's actually a lawful term because CORONA or corona actually means crown. Okay, it's crown as in gold, as in the golden era, as in your crown chakra being activated, as in we're rising to Christos consciousness. So what these elites were doing, were talking to each other, and they were saying, look, humanity is going to a golden era. Their crown chakras are being activated and they're ascending in consciousness. The nefarious beings were like, we must stop this from happening. We cannot allow the second coming of Christ. The second coming of Christ is your Christos consciousness being awakened. Your pineal gland, your pituitary gland, your crown chakra being activated, saying we're not going to be enslaved anymore. We recognize that source is in us, and we realize that we have Christ consciousness. That ascended master that allegedly, or I don't want to say allegedly, that walked across the planet, and many different writings talked about it. That ascended master is actually talking about us. We can awaken our highest self. So these elite people were saying they're waking up. They're discovering that they don't have to be slaves. They're discovering that they are two gods. They are also gods. And what I mean by gods, because the scripture says, know you not, you are gods. And many scriptures, I think Psalms 84:10, and there are about 2 or 3 scriptures that talk like that. Because what they were saying was, you're not only flesh, but you have a living soul, a God spark inside of you. You can ascend in consciousness. You have the ability to fly. You have many areas of your brain that have not been activated because they were casting spells on us, and they were putting poison in the food, in the air, in the water, and in the psychological programming on television programs, while also performing rituals at the NFL, NBA, during their halftime shows, and in the cartoons and the movies and all that. So it kept us from activating our Christos or Christ consciousness, right? So the elites were talking to each other in 2020 saying that the crown, this is the era of a crown chakra being activated, the corona, the Christos consciousness. We got to stop it. Fast forward to 2024, President Donald Trump, when he was elected, said, I'm ushering in the golden era, letting us know that not only are we going to be using gold for money, but that golden era is an era where your crown chakra is being activated. Now, people have asked me, why do you keep supporting Donald Trump? What I'm supporting is the seat of the man, the authority of the man, the figure who the galactics have chosen to lead humanity in this war. So let's get back to 2020. During a shutdown, the elites were speaking to each other saying, it's time, they're about to be activated. And so they ushered in a COVID to try to keep us dumbed down. Okay. And they also wanted to eliminate a great majority of us. And they were successful at doing a lot of that, but they are going to reap what they sowed, because there are ancient texts that say, be not deceived. God is not mocked. Whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. So you can sow in righteousness, you can sow in love, you can sow in joy, you can sow in peace, and you will reap the same. Or you can choose to sow in hatred and anger and low vibrations and all those bad things and misery, and you will reap the same. So our channel over here is responsible for raising the vibrations of the family, so that we can all timeline jump or quantum leap into our love, our joy, our peace, and our prosperity. Okay, family? So that's what we're doing. During that shutdown, what was happening is that you had the military on the ground, and National Guard was deployed all across the planet to lock up these nefarious entities, these beings, people and human hybrids that caused the enslavement of the planet. And this is why we had curfews put upon us, because they didn't want humans out during certain times while they were bombing up the underground tunnels, and they were bombing out a lot of those creatures, those man-made creatures that were in the woods and the forests. Now, park rangers were in the woods and the forest. Some of them are human and some of them are not, to keep people away from these entities and these beings that have hidden in the mountains and in the woods and the forest. And this is why you weren't allowed to go but so far in the woods and the forest. So what happened in 2020, and even before that, but what happened in mass, in a large mass, was that the military, what they call the Global Alliance, or the NESARA White Knights, and the white hats of the military were bombing out these underground tunnels, literally flooding out these areas where they were harming children, harvesting organs, harvesting blood, and adreno, CHRONOME, because the entities who are not human and those that were human hybrids were drinking that blood from the children and from humans. So the Galactics and the NESARA White Knights and the white hats of the military were getting rid of those entities in the underground tunnels. And at the time, I was living in Louisville, Kentucky, and I could actually hear the bombings go off. It would shake the entire city. And I went live several times talking about how I could hear things shaking, like the whole city shaking, or my whole neighborhood. And I knew that the military was at work. Now, before 2020, President Trump had this huge July 4th celebration. And when he did, he said, and I don't know if you guys remember that, we're doing all we can to secure the skies. And he poured a lot of money into the military. What he meant by we're securing the skies was not only securing the skies from foreign invaders, like people from different countries, but from those entities that were coming through certain portals. He was closing up the portals. He was the spokesman for what the Galactic Federation of Light was doing to get rid of those nefarious entities or beings that had come to the planet to cause disruption here. And he was getting rid of them, and then they would exit them outside of those portals and then close the portals. So many of those beings, if they haven't been completely eliminated and unalive, they were exited off the planet. And again, this war has been going on not only in this planet or on this plane, but in other planets as well. But this is the final hurrah, the last hurrah from what I understand and understand. So keep checking in, family. So in 2020, when they were getting rid of those nefarious entities, unfortunately, the bad guys were still trying to get rid of us and commit genocide. For some reason, they don't like the humans on the planet. I don't know if it's because we're related to certain galactics that they've been fighting in other dimensions, but you all can chime in, or if it's because they don't like the fact that we have different abilities that they don't have. For example, we have the God spark, number one. And number two, no matter what they did to keep the dome on us and to keep us locked here in this planet, many of us continue to thrive and to live, right? So they don't like that. They don't like that we have the power of choice. They don't like the fact that we continue to thrive, even though they've done everything they could to unalive us. Somebody says, I can't understand English. Oh, I'm so sorry. So let me go back a little. So in 2020, you had a mass change, a massive amount of change where Donald Trump and the Global Alliance was trying to clean the planet. And the nefarious beings were fighting hard to prevent that from happening. But we kept telling everybody to, as much as you could, and it was hard, keep your vibrations high and stay safe at the same time. The reason why I'm bringing that up is because Donald Trump was reelected. And once he was reelected, you had Vladimir Putin from Russia and Xi Jinping from China to call President Trump and say, I'm willing to work with Trump, which behind the scenes they've been doing anyway. And many nations, leaders have been coming out and making official announcements saying they're ready for world peace. This is in alignment with Operation Sandman, which says that behind the scenes, 209 nations had agreed to, when triggered, drop the dollar for trade and use gold for trade and return back to the gold standard. The other part of Operation Sandman or Project Sandman is that these 209 nations would agree to world peace. So when President Trump was just reelected, and we knew that would happen because we ushered it in, that sped up the process. So what you're going to see is you're going to see now an official announcement of what happened with the Brunson case, where the Brunson brothers, who are trumpet players, actually brought a case against Joseph Biden, Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi, and 385 members of Congress, and said that they posed a security breach to our nation. They participated in election fraud, and that we had to do something about it. There's no mistake about why the trumpet players were, I don't want to say they were chosen. They decided to bring this case against Joe Biden's administration. They are trumpet players. This is the era of the time when the trump has been blown. Trump is the trump card of or against the nefarious beings that were here to enslave the planet. As Chief Mack and I had told me yesterday, there's a reason they chose that Trump name. He had to trump the deep state. So now you will likely hear that the Brunson brothers case has been decided. Again, that case that was brought to the Supreme Court said that Biden's administration had participated in election fraud. And not only that, they posed a security breach by allowing a lot of illegal people to come into our country and take the resources from our country, as well as vote illegally and unlawfully. If it was founded that indeed that occurred, then Nancy Pelosi, Kamala Harris, Joseph Biden, and 385 members of Congress have to step down, be judged in military tribunals, and never serve again, and have all their credentials stripped. Well, we know they'll never serve again because it will have been found that they committed treason. I'm spelling it out because I used to say it, and then YouTube would take down my channels when I would say it. The consequences of treason is, okay, and having all your assets frozen. This is why President Trump came out with Executive Order 13813 or 13818, which says that any entities or people involved in crimes against humanity will have their assets frozen. And those assets will go back to we the people. So all of these things have been working together. When the Brunson brothers brought this case against Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, Kamala Harris, and 385 members of Congress, the Supreme Court of the United States refused to hear the case. Well, I had the esteemed pleasure of interviewing Lloyd Brunson, one of the Brunson brothers, 2 times. And what he told me when he first brought the case to the Supreme Court was that, we were hoping that it would be heard. Once it wasn't heard, he came back on my podcast. Let me slow down. And he said, since they refused to hear it, he found a loophole, he and his brothers. I hope you guys can see me. It's sunny here in Jacksonville, Florida. It's like in the 70s. They found a loophole. I'm going to get to NESARA in a minute, baby. They found a loophole, and it was discovered that if the Supreme Court knows that our so-called leaders have done anything to pose a security breach to the American people, then the Supreme Court justices can be held for treason because they were perpetuating an environment that kept us enslaved. So that loophole compelled Lloyd Brunson to bring another case to the Supreme Court to hear his case, his brother's case, the trumpet player's case against Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi, and 385 members of Congress. At the same time, we knew that most of those members of Congress weren't even American citizens. They're not forget citizenship. They're not natural born. They're not from America. And many of them have the title of Esquire behind their name because they are allegedly lawyers. And when you are a lawyer in America and maybe even other places, you have ESQ behind your name, which is a title of nobility. Because unbeknownst to many people who are lawyers and judges in America and all across the land, especially here, in order to pass the in order to become a lawyer or a judge, you had to pass the British Accredited Registry or the bar exam. The British Accredited Registry states that you are working for the British Crown. So that once you have Esquire behind your name, you've passed the British Accredited Registry or the bar exam, and now you have a title of nobility, and that means you are working in the best interest of the Crown and not we the people. Okay, so this is why the judge wears black when he comes into the courthouse, because he's performing a ritual, a ceremony. They consider us dead. Who's calling me? Oh, wow. Okay. They consider us dead, and that's why your judges will wear black. So all of them have been either misled or they've worked knowingly or unknowingly to enslave humanity in their court systems, because unbeknownst to, I believe, many of them, they are working for the British Accredited Registry or for the Crown. Well, that's important for me to bring up, because when we talk about NESARA, you're going to see why one of the components is that all judges and lawyers must stand down and be retrained in constitutional law if they want to serve the Constitution for our republic. So a lot of those so-called Congress people and lawmakers have to step down anyway because they have a title of nobility, let alone that most of them are not even American. So we kept all of this in mind as Lloyd Brunson and the Brunson brothers were bringing this case against 385 members of Congress, Nancy Pelosi, Joseph Robinette Biden, and Kamala Harris. So while this case was being seen, not heard yet, by the Supreme Court justices, Lloyd Brunson was going to many platforms to tell people to, sign a petition to get it heard. And what he was doing was bringing in an awareness that this was all going down to take down the deep state, because them participating in election fraud was massive, and it is something that can help bring down their entire system. So while that was occurring, a lot of justices who were supposed to be hearing the case became afraid because they knew that their time was up. So many of them actually started trying to flee. And then while we were locked down, a lot of them were actually going through military tribunals. Now, there was a time where you could see some of the military tribunals on CVine. It was c-vine.net. And back then I would talk about the tribunals and you could see some of them. But people didn't believe me. And I was like, I'm looking at some of the military tribunals, but they've since taken that down. So while that was happening, a lot of people were becoming aware that our Constitution had been overtaken. So what occurred with that case was that the Supreme Court refused to hear it. And even though Lloyd Brunson found a loophole that said that the Supreme Court had to hear his case, his brother's case, or they would face treason, many of them started to recuse themselves from the case. To recuse themselves means they removed themselves and said, I'm not able to hear this case because I can't be unbiased. And then a writ of memorandus came out, and it was passed and approved that said that Justice Clarence Thomas could single-handedly decide upon that case himself. Well, that writ of memorandus was circulating online, and I do have a copy of it. I'll put it in the description section for you. When it came out last year, it was a year or two ago. I think it was a year ago. I did talk about it in my podcast. But that writ of memorandus said that Justice Clarence Thomas can either allow the whole all the justices to hear the case, or he can hear the case himself against Nancy Pelosi, Joseph Robinette Biden, Kamala Harris, and 385 members of Congress. Shortly thereafter, after that writ of memorandus was officially passed and heard, Justice Clarence Thomas went missing, according to CNN. And I reported that too. So what they meant when they said he went missing was he wasn't showing up on a lot of hearings. And they even mentioned in their statement that he was missing, that if he was sick, he could report from home, but they haven't been seeing him hearing or ruling on cases from home. What many of us thought was actually happening was that Clarence Thomas was in hiding, probably being protected by the military, because he had already heard the case against the Biden administration. Why is that significant today? It's significant today because I'm encouraging you to keep your vibrations high, because it is most likely that we're about to hear the decision against Biden and his entire administration. And we're about to hear that the Brunson brothers won. We're about to hear that not only had the Brunson brothers won their case, citing the Biden administration, 385 members of Congress had participated in a security breach, elections, stealing elections in 2020 and 2022 as well, but that Donald Trump had really won in 2020. If in fact that happens, family, there could be an emergency broadcast system announcement that will be made. And who knows, there may be some kind of, quasi lockdown. I don't know. I don't want to cause any panic, but what could probably happen is that this news, once we have an emergency broadcast system announcement, and what that is an announcement by the president. It'll be a presidential emergency broadcast system announcement or alert announcement, whereby the president can bypass mainstream media on the news, on the radio, on the computer, and all your electronic devices to let everybody know what's been going on behind the scenes. Then you will have people who will be kind of like, whether they have a shutdown or not, which I don't think is really necessary. Let me turn on the air. Most people will be tuned in to find out what happened. Did, in fact, the Biden administration steal the elections in 2020? And did they pose a security breach to our country? Were illegals coming in, taking the resources and all type of benefits from we the people? And were they allowed to vote unlawfully? Now, this information needs to come out because we already know that James Comer, who is the chairperson of the House Oversight Committee, stay with me, family, I'm gonna get to NESARA, all this ties in together. James Comer made an announcement before Biden was even inaugurated that this man is sneaky and he's participated in a lot of shifty things. And then after his inauguration, he said, I'm going to go after this entire Biden administration, and I'm going to prove that not only is the Biden crime family involved in human trafficking, sex trafficking, child trafficking, but he was the head of this whole operation. He said this on national news. You can go to the House Oversight Committee at oversight.house.gov, type in the search engine of that website Biden, and you will see all of the evidence of people that have defected from the Biden administration speaking out against Biden. You will see even some of the checks that the Biden administration wrote to the Chinese Communist Party, and you will see all the supporting documents that James Comer got on Biden and his administration supporting his claim that he and his family participated in all this type of trafficking. At the same time, you had Vladimir Putin working behind the scenes to bring out a lot of this information. And then when you speed up to 2022, you saw Vladimir Putin, who is the president of Russia, go to the Ukraine and cause a war. Well, CNN pushed the narrative that he was causing war in Ukraine. He was being unlawful and unrighteous to the Ukrainian people. But what Vladimir Putin was actually doing was cleaning out the deep underground bases and exposing the drug trafficking, sex trafficking, human trafficking, money laundering that was going on there in that part of the region. And he exposed how many presidents from all over the world were participating in all that type of trafficking and nefarious behaviors in the Ukraine. Much of that information went to James Comer in order to expose the Biden crime family. Well, Biden knew what he was doing, what Vladimir Putin was doing in the Ukraine, right? And that's why he put sanctions on Vladimir Putin. You can fact check me on all this. Biden put sanctions on Vladimir Putin in 2022 because of the war. And that's when you had a lot of people talking about him, being unfair. He should be, we got to stand for the Ukraine. But a lot of the Ukrainian people were like, yes, get the deep state out of here, Putin. And in addition to that, Putin was bringing back or annexing Ukraine back to Russia, because at one point it was called the Soviet Union. So keep chiming in, family, and add to the discussion, because I don't have everything right here before me on my notes. So you guys add in, please. So while he was exposing Biden and all of these people in the Ukraine, Joseph Biden put sanctions on Vladimir Putin, and then Vladimir Putin did the ultimate, what I call the ultimate clapback. Vladimir Putin said, you can put sanctions on me and tell every nation not to trade with me if you want, but I have my own currency and I'm a powerful being. So his ultimate clapback was to stop trading with the United States dollar, because in the past, the United States of America Incorporated would put sanctions on all of these countries who were speaking against the United States Incorporated, which is the fake government here in America, which now, are they're insolvent, bankrupt, and you will find out soon, this information will come out and become public, that they actually had to stand down and the republic is in place. This is what the National Guard, the military, and the Galactic Family Federation has been doing behind the scenes. So Vladimir Putin stopped trading with the dollar. Now, before, they used to put sanctions on these countries and then their currencies would devalue significantly. They used to put sanctions, speaking of the United States Incorporated and the military, put sanctions on these countries. And then we would send our military into those countries and cause decimation through war. We would fund both sides of the war, and those countries' currencies, which used to be strong, would plummet in value. Now, once those currencies would plummet in value, you had people high up in the military, and you had banking CEOs, presidents from all over the world, billionaires and so-called elite people that would go into those war-torn countries and buy up those currencies once their currencies had been devalued. And then after the war, America would go back into those countries and build up the infrastructure, the railroads, the water sources, etc. And then their economies would start booming again. And then those same elite people that have bought the currencies, once they devalued through war, will hold on to those countries, go back into those countries, right? Once the countries' currencies were starting to do well, because the GDP would go up, the infrastructure had been built, then they had formed alliances with other countries, and trading would start to boom again, and those currencies would go up in value, and the elite would then go to the bank and get the new exchange rate once those countries' currencies revalued or were reinstated back to their normal value. Well, we the people didn't know about that. But now we're living in a time where the creator, source, God, Allah, whomever you call source, and the Galactic Federation wants us to know about this information. And that's why Dr. Kia Pruitt and some of our other family members who know about this is telling you all, I don't have a lot of money. What am I? I am a substitute school teacher. I don't work in higher education anymore. I've had difficulties finding jobs in my area. For whatever reason, like, it's hard for everybody out here. So I don't have a lot of money, but I want everybody to experience and realize prosperity and peace. So people like me, Mark Z, who else? XRP Lion, Dave Lion, Patriot Rod Steele, Ghost Our Mother Susan Price, Ron Anthony, all of our soul family members, and those people in this space, Nicholas Benyamin, and you got Ishmael Perez, Mel Carmine, who else? A lot of people will come to this space and say, hey, this is the opportunity now that God has opened up our awareness to let us know how we can all have prosperity and peace to get into foreign currencies, because many nations' currencies have been devalued through sanctions and war. But now is the time of peace and prosperity. Now these countries have repatriated their gold back from the Vatican, repatriated their artifacts and their art, And they're starting to do mining in their countries, and they've made pacts and alliances with China and other countries to mine the gold and other minerals that are in their countries, as well as they're discovering a lot of rare earth minerals, and this will support and back their country's currencies. Once that happens, and the countries have already been making those announcements that they're returning to the gold standard, whether it's soft disclosure or it's they actually just made official announcements. Then their country currencies will be reinstated back to its normal values. And if you've bought those countries' currencies once they were devalued through war, when they were low, now we're going into an era where this revaluation or reinstatement will allow you all that have those currencies to go to wealth management centers and banks to get the new exchange rate and become wealthy, so you can take care of your family and so you can create humanitarian projects for the people on the planet. You can clean the water, you can clean the foods, you can clean the air, you can create humanitarian projects to help the homeless. You can do so many things, because before NESARA is announced, some of you might actually go to the bank. So the so-called RV or revaluation, and that opportune time for you to go and get a new exchange rate on your currencies will likely happen before all of these trillions of dollars are injected into the global economy. And that will give us an opportunity to help our planet. So back to Vladimir Putin. He was cleaning out the deep underground military bases in the Ukraine. Biden put sanctions on him and told the whole world not to trade with him. But what Vladimir Putin did was he stopped trading with the dollar, and he started using the Russian ruble, his own country's currency, for trade. That is in alignment with Project Sandman, that says when it triggered, 209 nations will simultaneously drop the United States dollar and use their own gold-backed currencies for trade and return to the gold standard. Jim Rickards added a little bit to that, and he said when that happens, you will likely see what's called something called an Ice 9 scenario. That means everything will freeze and stop. Okay, so we're living in that time period right now where we could actually see everything kind of freeze. You already have heard throughout the last couple of years. Remember, that happened in 2022 when Biden put sanctions on Vladimir Putin, where banks were collapsing, people couldn't get money out from their ATM, people were making bank runs because they are starting to wake up and say, hey, the whole financial world as we know it could collapse. But Donald Trump is back, so maybe they will stave off the stock market collapse. I don't know. But you saw a lot of people actually making bank runs, and you kind of saw things freeze. So kudos to Jim Rickards for letting us know way back then, a couple years ago, that this could happen. So once Biden put sanctions on Vladimir Putin stopped trading with the dollar. He started trading with the Russian ruble. And you can fact check me. Type in Google 2022, the Russian ruble became the strongest performing currency in the world. And it did. So he wasn't affected by Biden putting sanctions on him. And Biden didn't have enough power. Oh, my battery is low. Or enough people behind him to completely go after against Vladimir Putin. So Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, just led the BRICS coalition, Brazil, Russia, India, and China, to stop trading with the dollar. And that thus BRICS became strong, because then BRICS started trading with their own currencies and backing it by gold. And every nation, exporting nation, joined them in alignment with Project Sandman or Operation Sandman. So here we are, where all countries, exporting nations, are now trading with their own currencies and gold, and their currencies backed by silver and gold. So now I'm going to go to NESARA because my battery is low. I didn't know it was going to go low. I'm in my car, so I got to hurry up and make this, happen really quickly. Let me see. Let's talk about NESARA. So 209 nations now are trading with their own currencies, and they are a part of the BRICS coalition. And here in America, where is that? NESARA. Here in America, over 45, you can fact check me. The Sound Monetary Defense League said that over 45 states have repealed the state taxes from the sales of precious metals, which means that precious metals can no longer be seen as a relic or as a commodity or like an art or artifact. Now it has to be deemed as money. And it also means that banks had to become Basel III and Basel IV compliant, means that they have to be transparent. They can no longer use their money that's in the bank to bail themselves out or bail themselves in. They can't use that money to make investments. And they had to recognize gold as a tier 1 asset, as well as they had to be compliant. I'm going to put in this description section for you on all my channels, my video that I did on banks had to become tier 2 asset compliant. Tier 2 asset compliant meant that they had to make sure they were ready to receive your foreign currencies. And the reason why banks wanted to receive, and they did, they met globally to make sure they were ready to receive your tier 2 assets. And they said in the article that they did this because they need tier 2 assets, which are your foreign currencies. And they needed the banks that are still here that are Basel III compliant in order to stave against bankruptcy, in order to maintain the health of the banks. They need your foreign currencies. Family, drop in the chat what type of foreign currencies you encourage your family, your soul family to get, and any information you have so that they can fact check us on this, because my battery is running low and I might end up losing you, and I don't want that to happen. So I'm trying to look for, oh, here it is, NESARA. How do I know NESARA is happening? Let's go through this real quick. NESARA will zero out all credit cards, mortgage, and banks due to illegal banking and government activities. Now, the farmers brought the United States Incorporated and the Federal Reserve to the world courts and the Supreme Courts and said that they were charging interest against us and they were giving us loans that they were not supposed to be doing. You're not supposed to have to get a loan in order to live. We all have a trust that were created based on our birth certificate bonds that were securitized and traded on the New York Stock Exchange and put in a trust. When you were renting out something or you buying a house, that money was supposed to come out your trust. Unbeknownst to you and me, when we signed on the dotted line, we were signing a promissory note and we were giving them access to our trust, and they paid themselves out of the trust and then charged you and me again and made us pay them with interest. Well, the farmers said they did that to us farmers, and they made us sow Monsanto seeds and six plants to the people and do all kind of nefarious things in order to get a loan from them, and then they charge us interest, and this is wrong. And the Supreme Court and the world courts determined that the Federal Reserve banking system is unlawful and the United States Incorporated, and that they would put together an alliance to take them down. And when that happens, the farmers will be paid out in the farmers' claim, and so would we the people, because not only had they done that to the farmers, but they've done it to people all over the world. So that's why all your mortgages and credit card and all that will all be zeroed out. Somebody asked me, how do you know that's going to happen? I know it because we've already put forward the goal to pay off the debts. So people are like, how are you going to have a debt jubilee? It's already happened because the goal was put forward to pay off the debts all over the globe. Watch my videos on debt jubilee, gold, and also how I had interviewed Empress Elizabeth Rodriguez, who is a part of the Rodriguez Trust. She's the sole executor. She will initiate that trust, as well as the Solomon Trust and the Saint Germain Trust, and all that gold will fund the world, and it will help to zero out all the debt across the planet. And many people have already been reporting their credit card debt, mortgage, and automobile loans have already just mysteriously been paid off. It will abolish the income tax. Why? Because we're not supposed to be taxed. At one point, all countries that did business with America had tariffs. And then when they did away with tariffs, then they started taxing we the people. Okay, it made us pay, right? And so that's unconstitutional. So that has to stop. 3, abolishes the IRS, because the IRS is an unlawful entity. 2 years ago, the IRS told people stop paying the IRS. And I reported on that. But of course, we've been so programmed to keep paying that many of us did. And I told you all, write them a letter, ask them to forgive the debt, or keep putting it off as much as you can until an official announcement is made that they're gone. Okay, it would abolish the IRS, and the IRS will be transferred to the United States Treasury Department. We already know that because before Trump left office in 2020, he put the duties of the IRS and the Federal Reserve underneath the United States Treasury Department. There used to be articles about that. I've done reports on that and videos, but they scrubbed my channel and they got rid of those articles. But I'll see what I can find out, put them in the description section for you. What else? It will create a 14% flat tax on non-essential new items only. If you read Trump's Agenda 47, which I'll talk to you about tonight, he talks about how he's going to eliminate all these taxes. So you can see that it's going to happen, but I want you to usher it in by knowing that it's going to happen and keep your vibrational frequencies high, because we are going to command it to be so, and we're going to make this happen in our reality. But if you keep doubting and saying it won't happen, I'll see it when I believe it, you will be vibrating on a third dimensional reality, and we're trying to raise the vibration of, no, we're not trying, we're raising the vibrations on the planet and keeping everybody positive, because we will make it and command it to be so, and we will realize it. Now, back to the IRS. If you remember, the Supreme Court of the United States, I'm going fast because my battery is about to power down. The Supreme Court of the United States actually ruled against the Chevron doctrine, or the Chevron deference. And the Chevron doctrine actually stated that these three-letter organizations can create any laws and rules that they wanted to, and they can force all the people to abide by them. The IRS, the CPS, the EPA, all of those organizations were allowed to create any rules, laws, statutes, codes, and policies that they wanted to, and enslave humanity by forcing them upon us. And if we try to challenge them by going to court, the courts would then defer back to those agencies and say they have a right to make those laws or rules and statutes, codes, and policies, because they are the experts. That's why they changed it from Chevron doctrine, and some people call it Chevron deference. Well, the Supreme Court this summer ruled against them and said that all of those three-letter organizations were unconstitutional, and they committed treason. And any judge that deferred back to those entities and allowed it to happen committed treason. And any judge who knew of a judge who deferred back to those entities and allowed them to do that committed misprision of treason. So that's how I know this is happening, because the Supreme Court ruled against it. Okay. And we will see this happening in our reality. We have to know this is law now, and they cannot go against it. They will increase benefits to senior citizens. And you can see articles all out now that saying that's happening in our reality. It will return us to constitutional law, back to all the courts and lawful matters. It says legal matters here, but it's really lawful matters, because the Constitution for our republic has laws. It doesn't have statutes, codes, and policies. And again, the old system had policy enforcers or police officers to enforce the law. But now, according to our republic, the sheriff will enforce the law. The sheriff, and that's why all across the globe, fact check me, police departments are shutting down, and the duties of police departments are being transferred to the sheriff's office and sheriff departments, because the sheriff, according to the Constitution for our republic and according to our republic, they are the ones who will enforce laws. They don't enforce statutes and codes and policies. They enforce laws, which is our lawful Constitution for our republic. It reinstate the original title of nobility amendment. Remember, I told you, if you have a title of nobility, you may not write laws, create laws, because you work for the British crown. You support and work for the British queen. Thank God she's gone now. Ding dong, the witch is dead. So if you have a title of nobility, you have to stop. And this is why, if you've seen my videos on motu proprio, Pope Francis wrote a letter to Obama in 2014 and 2015 that says everybody must stand down. The United States Incorporated, all the three-letter organizations, because our time is up. The lawyers, judges, police officers, everybody must stand down, cease and desist, he said. Why? Because he knew that this time was coming. He said that if we don't, General Ham and the Global Alliance and the GAR, I forgot what the global GAR was, but it's the military, will come against us and force us to stand down. And I'll put up those videos again where I go over motu proprio. So that's why they'll reinstate titles of the original title of nobility amendment. If you have Esquire behind your name, you have to stand down. And if you want to serve us, you have to be retrained in constitutional law, which most lawyers and judges are not trained in. It would establish new presidential and congressional announcements or elections within 120 days after NESARA's announcement. So if President Trump comes back like before January 20th, which he could, before the inauguration, he and the military or somebody will announce that the Biden and his administration and the Congress people had indeed been a security breach. They stole the elections. Trump won. Then the whole Biden administration will have to stand down. Trump will come back and make his announcement as the president, maybe of the United States Incorporated, but we know that that corporation is bankrupt and defunct, but most people don't know that. So President Trump will still say, he's the president, and this could happen before the inauguration. And then he, from what I'm hearing, will turn over everything to the Republic. So the Republic is a lawful government that was running side by side with the United States Incorporated, and it still is running. It has been re-inhabited because a lot of people had, left those seats, or those seats were empty. But what happened was you had the military and certain people in power to tap on the shoulders of many people and say, you would be good in this state and that state to serve in the Republic. I'm serving in the Republic in my state in a certain capacity, and I have friends that are doing the same, and people high up. We're just holding a seat because once President Trump come forward and announced that Biden and his whole administration has to stand down because they committed treason, then we're just staying here because 120 days after the announcement happens, you all will have to vote on if you want us to stay or not, which I'm glad at if you say no. And then you would bring in the president of the Republic. We will have a new election where you bring in the president of the Republic and all those seats that of the people that you want to serve. So this is why you must operate at the local level where you are, because things are being returned back to the Republic, because according to our Republic, all states in America are actually countries and not states. That's why we have our own laws and lawmakers and our own symbols and flags. It will monitor elections and prevent illegal election activities. That's point 9. Point 10, create a new United States Treasury rainbow currency, which they have rainbow colors. It'll be backed by silver, gold, palladium, platinum, precious metals, and a lot of those rare earth minerals that were discovered, which trillions of dollars worth of rare earth minerals were discovered here in America. And they're saying that we have the most amount of rare earth minerals than anybody in any world. So that it will forbid the sale of American birth certificate records as chattel property bonds by the United States Department of Transportation. We talked about how that happened. Your mom signed the birth certificate unbeknownst to us. They would take those birth certificates, securitize it, trade it on the New York Stock Exchange, accrue interest, and make money off of our birth certificates and also our Social Security numbers, which are actually bank account numbers, and trade under our Social Security numbers. All that will be halted under this new administration because it's unlawful according to our Republic. So basically, we're returning back to the way things were before these elite family members came and usurped authority from our Republic. And this will happen all over the world because there's NESARA is the Global Economic Security and Reformation Act, and that's the global version of NESARA. It will eliminate the Federal Reserve System during the transaction period. The Federal Reserve will be allowed to operate side by side with the United States Treasury Department for 1 year in order to remove all Federal Reserve notes from the money supply. That's already happening, where the Federal Reserve is running simultaneously with our United States Treasury. And the duties of the Federal Reserve are already under the United States Treasury, and all the old bills are being taken out of circulation, and a new rainbow currency backed by precious metals is already in the banks. And at the same time, you have the state-sponsored banks and good banks operating side by side with those Federal Reserve central banks that were ran by the elites. So the Supreme Court ruled that this summer that state-sponsored banks can operate alongside of the Federal Reserve central banks and have their own charter that's separate from the Federal Reserve central banks and issue out their own gold-backed currency. So the Supreme Court ruled in favor of the Republic, and that's why these things are actually happening now. You are going to hear this come out very, very soon. So that's why I want you to stay encouraged and keep your vibrations high. We already have seen, some people have seen the rainbow currencies, and we already know that we've returned to the gold standard. That's why you have BRICS. That's what they're doing. All exporting nations have joined the Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa coalition that was initiated by Vladimir Putin when he cleaned out the dumps in Ukraine, stopped trading with the dollar. He then inspired Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa to do the same. And then Saudi Arabia joined BRICS, which was huge because what made the dollar the world reserve currency, or the USD, the petrodollar, gave us petrodollar status and financial economic hegemony in America, was our agreement with Saudi Arabia to give us oil. And then in exchange for that, we'll protect the Saudi kingdom. And then we will force all exporting nations to get oil from Saudi Arabia. And then they must do it by using the United States dollar. Well, when Saudi Arabia joined BRICS, and it became known as Saudi BRICS, that happened years ago, unbeknownst to most people. unbeknownst to most people, then essentially that ended the dollar, that ended petrodollar, the petrodollar, that ended America having financial economic hegemony, and that ended that whole agreement between Saudi Arabia and America. Most people don't even know that. So what you do know is that in June, the contract between the United States Incorporated and Saudi Arabia was not renewed. So that's how we know for sure they joined BRICS. But I announced that in 2022 that they had joined BRICS, and it wasn't even officially known yet. But God allows us to discover information through research. Let's see. It was restore financial privacy, and that's what Basel III meant, that now all banks had to be transparent. And so now we have to have privacy. And that's why I know in my soul that the people that have to sign non-disclosure agreements or NDAs are actually the people that work for the banks, because now they work for you. So that restores our financial privacy. It will retrain all judges and attorneys in constitutional law. That's 15. It will cease all aggressive United States government military actions worldwide. That's when we'll have world peace. How do we know that's happened? You already saw Vladimir Putin come out from Russia, Xi Jinping from China, say we want world peace. We want to work with Trump. You already saw the Saudis and people in the Middle East said we don't want no war. Once Trump was reelected, then these countries' leaders start coming out saying we want world peace. But that actually happened a while ago through Operation Sandman, Project Sandman, and other secret agreements between nations that they were ready for world peace. And when Trump was in office the first time, we didn't have any wars because they were working with him. And that's one of the reasons why he made what I want to say, amends or started talking to North Korea when he was still at the forefront in 2020. It will establish world peace worldwide, release enormous sums of money for humanitarian projects, and enable the release of 6,000 patents. So you guys look that up. That's already happening. Those patents and like technology, med beds, all that is a gift from the Galactic Federation of Light to our soul family. So now my energy saver is on. I just wanted to go through those bullets and let you know why I know that's happening, because, the announcements have been made, and I try to show you proof, especially with the return of the gold standard, BRICS being formed. Over 45 states have repealed the state tax. When you remove the state sales tax from the sales of precious metals, you are acknowledging that precious metals are no longer used as a commodity or it's something you can trade or seen as an artifact. Or something like trading cards. Now it is used as money. So family, stay encouraged. I know I'm going fast. I apologize for, going so fast, but I'm losing my battery. And what else did I want to say? And it's time for me to go to the gym. But I wanted to stop and encourage you that, yes, these things are happening. I know it in my soul. I've done the research. I've talked to many people. God has blessed me. I've talked to people in the military. I've talked to some men who have cleaned out the deep underground military bases. And a lot of these people that's rescuing the children, these children that's been created, or either, some women have been forced to have these babies and they've had their bodies mutilated and all these. A lot of these military men were working for free. I heard it from their lips. A lot of them, some of them are being paid, and some of them, when the money ran out or when the deep state stole the money, they kept working for free to liberate us. So we give thanks and homage and praise and glory and reverence to all the military generals and men and women who have rescued our children from the deep underground military bases. We give thanks and praise for you for cleaning out the deep underground military bases and the mountains and the forests, and for securing the skies and closing portals. You guys have seen beings that we could not even imagine. So if for some reason they have some kind of quasi I don't want to say shut down, but when there might be a time period where we need to be in, because they're still at war. Some of these beings, entities could come out into the streets, and you just don't want to deal with that. So whatever the military tells us to do, and the National Guard, let's do our best to follow and comply. Although I feel in my soul that most of the war is over, and now what we'll have is an official announcement that these things are so, and that Trump won in 2020. The Biden administration will have to stand down. You're going to see a lot of tribunals actually happen on television, which is why, you might have heard of these gauntlets and different things they had at the White House. You had a lot of boarded buildings at the White House and at the Capitol. Because we might actually see public hangings. We will see some tribunals actually happen right in front of our faces. So this revolution will be televised. In the meantime, keep your vibrations high, stay encouraged. It is happening. You have to know it in your soul. You have to see it. I know you have to see it, but you have to see it in your mind's heart eye. You have to see it in your heart. You have to vibrate at a high frequency, because you know what? Just before Trump was reelected, I was on a podcast where somebody was telling me that their spirit guides had told them that, Trump wouldn't win, or if he won, it'd be behind the scenes, and we're going to still have a bad, timeline, and we're going to be in war, and, it's just going to be so horrible, but at some point we'll be redeemed. And I said on that podcast, okay, but what I'm telling you is that timeline has been neutralized. We have power in our words. We are commanding a Trump win. We are commanding peace. I command love. I command prosperity. I command abundance. I command worldwide peace. I command mental stability. I command joy. I command wealth and abundance to be manifested all across the globe. And do you know, the next day Trump won? The other person that was on that podcast said, that's right, Kia. That's what I'm getting from my guides. We have to maintain a high level of frequencies, because, and I told them on that panel, just like you are a so-called ET contactee, I'm in contact with my ancestors too, and with other beings. I've had dreams, revelations. I've had visions. I've been fasting. I've been talking to entities that are not human and some that are human. And what I was told, and I've done videos about this since 2017, was that there was a war going on, but that there were galactic entities or other beings from different timelines and dimensions that were here fighting against the nefarious beings, and that they were winning, and that they won, and that the war would be over. And what they told me then, that was in 2017, keep your vibrations high. They told me, tell as many people as you can, we've won the war. Tell them to raise their vibrations. And we're challenging you and commanding you, Kia, to raise the vibrations of the planet, because we will use those high vibrational frequencies. We will harness that energy, and we will take that energy and completely eradicate evil from the planet. So family, I'm encouraging you to keep your thoughts elevated, keep your vibrations high, stay positive, stay in love, stay in joy, stay in peace. Only deal with the people that are on your frequency, that have love vibrations and joyous vibrations. Listen to high vibrational music. Only deal with those type of energies, and that, my darlings, will liberate the planet, and that will help us to jump into the new timeline, our golden era, where we will have planetary peace, prosperity, abundance, and everlasting joy. And not only everlasting joy, but we shall be changed and have everlasting life. The Bible talks about how in a moment, in a twinkling of an eye, you will change and be transformed and have a new body. Well, I'm here to tell you that that's going to happen. You're going to meet your guardian angel or galactic mentor. We're going to go through these chambers as the earth goes up in high vibrationals and reach higher dimensions, and your body will be changed into a crystalline body. Your body will become highly energetic. Your mind will radically change. Your spirit and your soul will be refreshed, and you will have love, perpetual joy, perpetual peace, and abundance. We command it to be so. So family, my name is Dr. Kia Pruitt. I trust I've said something to raise your vibrations and inspire you to create the most amazing, magnificent life that you desire and deserve. Go out and make this a great day, family. Happy Friday. Yay! I'm so glad that the battery stayed here. Any final questions before we go, family? I probably only got about a minute before this battery completely goes out. I love you, family. Our time is here. Let's know it. Somebody told me the other day, I'll see it. I'll believe it when I see it. And I said, well, or you can see it and then believe it. And I said, but you know what? I see it and I know it. I see it in my mind. I see it in my soul. I see it when I go to sleep at night. I see it when my energy comes down. I just imagine how amazing it's going to be for us to have planetary peace and for us to all be prosperous, because we're all going to be wealthy. Oh, and one of the components that was not in that document was that every person on the planet will receive tens of thousands of dollars in their quantum account, kind of like a universal basic income, but this will be a universal amazing income of abundance, tens of thousands of dollars in your quantum account over the period of 11 years. It's going to be a non-interest bearing account. So you got to know how to manage your money and use it wisely, as well as trillions of dollars being injected into the global economy. And President Trump told us he was going to do that in about 2019, 2020. So that is the new earth, family. You know, they talk about a new earth, a new heaven, and new earth. Usher it in. Okay, we were living in hell already. You don't have to go to hell. We've been living in hell. Now we're going to live in the so-called heaven. We're going to live in a whole new dimension, and let's usher it in to be so. So that's it, family. I'm going to go out with the same joy that I came in with. Happy Friday. Yay! I love you. Stay encouraged. Let's see if we can get this started. Any final questions, family, before we go out with our song, with our new theme song? I'm going to put those things in the description section for you, family. I love you, family. Trying to play this last song. I don't know why, but the song doesn't want to play. I'm always having issues on my computer when I go live with y'all. Oh, you know what song was playing on the radio? B Better Have My Money. I didn't want that one, but they gonna have our money. Trust that. Yeah. I was saying if anybody had any questions. Let's see. Where's the new currency found? It's found at the banks. But if you go to the banks, they'll try to act like they don't know it. They don't know about it because I've heard they signed NDAs. I don't know if that's true or not. Well, all right, family. My radio does not want to play this music. That's all right. You heard it earlier. Go out and make this a great day, family. I love y'all. You will redeem the bonds, and you will exchange those currencies at the wealth management centers, formerly known as the banks, family, to answer your question. Not yet. We'll come on and let you all know when it's time. Some credit unions are actually, yes, they are already Basel III compliant. Where's that tune coming from? My friend Murray in Nashville. The Vietnamese dong, dinar, the Iraqi dinar. And you guys let each other know what else they should invest in. I love you, family. Gotta go. Time to work out. Mwah. Keep your vibrations high. I love you so much. And have a very happy Friday. Yay!